All right. Hello, everyone. So this short video is going to be highlighting some of the major points that we will be covering during this class in the fall 2020 semester. So it is your responsibility to make sure that you have all of the materials, that you have all the days written down in your records. So there's going to be a lot of things to remember, but again, keep in mind that things may change, as we, go over the syllabus in terms of like timings and dates and stuff. But my goal as a professor for this class is to make sure that we are all staying on top of things. And I'm here again, as always, as a resource. So this is the syllabus, which is also, of course, uploaded on Blackboard for all of us. So this is my contact information. So again, our class meets in the morning on Tuesday and Thursday from 9:30 to 10:45 a.m. So Tuesday and Thursday in room Strickler 208. And we're also going to have online classes. And I will be, of course, designating when those are in the course schedule. So my office hours are going to be right before our class. And so my office is in 308E Strickler Hall. But if you feel more comfortable doing a virtual appointment, with me, we can absolutely do that as well. So what exactly is Introduction to Strategic Communication? And so, as I mentioned before in my introduction video, I really have a soft spot for the introduction course because when I was at the University of Florida, I actually was not a PR major. I actually started off as pre-med, and fainting in an anatomy class when you're going to be a pre-med major is not necessarily a good combination. So I realized at that point, I'm like, Karen, this may not necessarily be the field for you. And it was actually my academic athletic advisor. Side note, I was a track and field athlete at Florida and Southern Cal. I threw the shot put. So I guess you could say that I used to throw things. So she noticed that I was doing things online, creating my own website, doing newsletters, early staging and blogging. And so I'm kind of dating myself a little bit here. But she said, Karen, you might want to switch your major. You might want to go into public relations. And for me, at that point, I had no idea that there was even a major in that. So I took my first class, which was our introduction course to PR, and fell in love with it. And so I feel that this course really gives you a whole idea of what the field offers. And what's great about what we have here at the University of Louisville in the Department of Communication is we have several courses in this sequence. And our goal is to ultimately be able to create a minor in strategic communications. But we have 4 designated courses. And so this one is the first one. So we have writing, we have media management, we have campaigns, but there's other designated strategic communication courses that we offer. And the overall goal is to build a focus on adding to your strategic communication skill set. So we're going to be coming across a broad stroke of lots of different areas within strategic communication. Each of these areas could be its own course, and most are. And so, it really is going to give you a window in terms of what the field offers. So just keep that in mind. So we have a couple of required texts and materials for the course. So we do have a book. Yes, we have a book. And so it's really a good one that focuses on the principles and practices of advertising at IMC. And so I really like this book for a variety of different reasons. We'll be talking about this in course, how strategic communications is really a combination between advertising and public relations and marketing. And it really is very integrated. And most books either focus just on the advertising side or they just focus on the PR side. So for me as a professor, it was always, challenging to figure out if there was a book out there that allowed us to really combine all of these areas. And so this is the book. So we are also going to be using a new tool actually this semester. It's called Critic, and it is going to be helpful to you guys in terms of your participation grade. So I'll be explaining that in a little bit. So again, there's going to be some additional reading. So for example, like in crisis communication, when we cover that, that's really not highlighted in your book. So I'll be providing some free resources for you all to study. I do recommend signing up for email newsletters like Adweek, Ad Age, PR Daily, just to keep in touch with the in the industry. And I would strongly encourage you to be one with the media, just to kind of figure out what's happening and trending, what are some case studies, what are some campaigns that we can come and bring to the class, whether we're meeting in person or meeting online. So these are the goal objectives. So I wanted to highlight a couple of these, first and foremost. So our overall goal for this class is to be able to identify and successfully implement tools of communication, establish the foundations of persuasion for campaigns. So these are going to be some objectives that we're going to be seeing universally within not only the content that we cover, but also in the assignments that we are basically going to have for the class. So when you're looking at the schedule, you might be like, okay, how is this tying into the overall objective? So the overall goal is to introduce to you all the key perspectives, but also the items that, are needed to develop a campaign. So you're going to see the emphasis on strategic campaigns much more later on in this video. And so those are going to be the elements here to keep in mind. So now, one of the things that I think is important to note here in strategic communications are the marketable skills. So I know that every one of you wants to get a job after graduation, whether it is in the field of strategic communications or in another field. You want to be able to be marketable, as a job candidate for your dream position or a particular job that you want to work in the industry. And so what I want to make sure that you guys have available are lists of marketable skills that you can talk about, for a future employer based on the work that you've done for this class. So these are the items and skills that you'll be able to gather, and collect here for the semester. So writing, research, strategic planning, peer evaluation. I'll talk about a little bit of social media, public and virtual speaking, critical thinking, and of course, teamwork. So those are some items, again, that you will be able to gather and gain from experience in this class. So one of the things to keep in mind, so again, measurement tools for objectives. So the key thing here is to realize that this is a class that, one thing or one item or one exam is not going to determine your final grade, which it's been a while since I've been a student, 15 plus years in your guys' shoes, but I remember I had one class that basically was just one exam, and it stressed me out. And ultimately, you're not going to see that in the industry. You're going to be evaluated on a variety of different things. So I guess that's the good news. But also, on the flip side, keep in mind there's a lot of things that are highlighted here that we have to do. It's going to be a jam-packed semester of items. So we do have some exams. We only have 2, which is good. We have a certification that I will be explaining in a little bit. We do have a proposal. So keep in mind what you'll find here is we do not have a final exam. So that's the good news. The other news is it's a group strategic plan campaign proposal. So you guys will actually be asked to create a proposal as a group and be able to present that at the end of the semester instead of doing an exam. So that's something to keep in mind. And then, of course, we have an interview assignment. Again, that shouldn't be too stressful. And it's a really great opportunity for you guys to look at that. And then, of course, the critic participation. So there's a lot of options here. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I feel that it is extremely hard, in my opinion, to fail my class. If you do the work, if you study, if you participate, if you do, critic, if you do the interview, you should be ultimately able to get a good grade. But you'll find here, in terms of the measurement objectives, there's a lot of things that you can basically start collecting to add to your portfolio as you are working towards building your marketable skills. So again, keep in mind there's going to be 2 exams for the class, multiple choice, some applied questions, but again, no makeup exams. These will all be done through Blackboard online. And what we'll also be having is a certification. So in the course of this semester, we're going to be covering a lot of different areas. I mean, one of them, of course, is, social media. Social media is a big part of what we do. If you're not thinking digital first right now, I'm not sure what, you're doing as a business. And so one of the things too that we are seeing is an expectation, again, more marketable skills and expectations for young professionals to have is, additional certifications. So these certifications are, again, extra learning opportunities to learn about a various topic. of interest. And so there's a ton of these in social media. So Muckrack is a PR program that helps professionals, again, find the right media professionals to fit stories. So it's a PR tool, but they have their own free certification that if you go through the certification, you'll be able to add that to your resume, which is great. And so there's a ton of these. And so this is going to be an opportunity for you all to gain experience and, more understanding about social media from a strategic communications lens. So this is a great precursor for COMM 333, which is the social media class that we offer here at the University of Louisville. So there's a couple things that you want to do in terms of breakdown, in terms of reflection. So this is a reflection piece. So I'm not asking you guys to do this and have this done like immediately, but just keep this in mind that these are certain things that I will be expecting you guys to turn into me later on in the semester. So you have your strategic plan proposal. So one of the things you will be asked to do is to create a strategic plan proposal with a client. So this will give you actually an introduction to the strategic communication process. So you might be asking, okay, Dr. Freeberg, why are you asking us to do this instead of a final exam for this class? And the reason is, when you are going forward in the strategic communication sequence, whether it's writing, media management, campaigns, social media, event planning, all of the other designated classes, you will be asked to do this. And so it's really good to get some experience to see the process and how it's formatted, but also to be able to apply what you're learning. So while we don't have a final exam, you still, I think it's better to have some hands-on activities. And so you will be working with 4 to 5 students max. So you will be asked as a group to choose a client to focus on. And so my recommendation is, since we're in Louisville, it'd be great to focus on a local business or nonprofit or brand. So if you wanted to do something, let's say with the Louisville Slugger Museum, you're able to do that. Or if you wanted to focus on the Kentucky Derby Festival, this will give you some experience to create something that, could, again, add to your portfolio. So there's several components. So this is worth 30% of your grade. So it would be equal to final project. So there's 3 components. So you have the proposal document, which actually is the strategic communication process plan. Presentation, this will be done, of course, virtually online, and I'll be able to explain that in a little bit. And then your peer evaluation. So again, teamwork. I know that there's teams that love working together that do great things, and then there's other teams where you're like, okay, I'm doing the only one. So I take that into consideration. And so it's a great experience that, kind of moving forward, because in strategic communications, whether you're working for a business, agency, or even yourself, well, if you're an entrepreneur, you're working by yourself. Most of the time you are working as part of a team. So it's great experience to be able to work on that. So the next thing is you get to interview with a strategic communication professional. So my only requirement is that they work in strategic communications. They have some sort of role, whether it's advertising, PR, they're an entrepreneur, social media, digital media. This is an opportunity for you to meet this individual, to interview them, to kind of ask, like, what's it like being in the industry? What are things that I need to know? What are skills that I need to gather before entering this field? So these are elements for you to kind of keep in mind and take into consideration. So again, not necessarily a rocket science-based assignment. This really should give you an opportunity to really explore what the field has to offer. And so the last assignment that we have is a critic. So critic is basically a peer evaluation and feedback tool. So it's a great way to provide feedback to your fellow classmates, but also receive feedback based on what you could do better. So critic, again, I will make sure to send out the link for you all to join. So we'll have 5 different assignments. And so each of these assignments are actually tied in to what you'll be working on for your campaign proposal. So there's going to be one assignment that will actually ask you to do a SWOT analysis, and you'll be able to, share your answer. There's going to be some instructions. There's going to be a rubric in terms of what you'll be graded on, and you will be graded on by your fellow classmates anonymously. But again, the goal is you're going to be graded based on what content you create, but also the feedback that you're given. So it's really going to be important. So, again, you'll be graded on this. So it is worth 15% of your grade. And there's going to be certain deadlines. So there's going to be the initial critic assignment that you'll be graded on, and then there's going to be feedback, that you'll be, asked to provide. So there's going to be several deadlines. And so all of these are, aligned in critic. And I think this is a really good opportunity because you're, for us in strategic communication, we not only have to be able to create content very well, but like we may be asked to mentor or provide feedback to our fellow colleagues, on a project, and we have to be able to be skilled enough to advise them, say, hey, I really like what you did with this objective, but you might want to rework this way. So this is going to be a great opportunity for you guys. So ethics, again, big, thing is practice, ethical behavior. So these are, again, some course policies, class etiquette. So again, I prefer to be addressed as Dr. Freeberg or Professor Freeberg. Mrs. Freeberg is, again, my mom. Treat this class like you would any job. Honestly, like it really, that's going to be something that I'm going to be really paying attention to. And so that is something that I want you guys to keep in mind. And when you're looking at personal responsibility, really keep that in mind as well. And making sure that you highlight that accordingly. And so we also have here Zoom and class etiquette. So we'll be using Zoom during a couple of courses throughout the semester, especially after Thanksgiving, but we'll have a few days. We'll be doing class remotely. It will be at the same time. So I will be sending out a link saying, hey, this is the link for today's class via Zoom. And so these are some best practices just to keep in mind. Again, these are kind of, basically professionalism, etiquettes, in class use, grades. Grades are earned, not given, so as I mentioned before, you guys are doing the work, you come to class, you come to class virtually, you do everything that's needed for the project. At the end, you'll be in good shape. Other policies, again, academic integrity and plagiarism. Again, don't break the law, the rules, and don't copy or do anything academically dishonest. So that's all I ask. So grading scale and attendance and participation. So keep in mind, these are just some, basic things to remember, but I will let you guys go over this in the syllabus now. So here is the tentative schedule, for the course. So again, this is subject to change because there may be times where we go really, really quickly with the various materials and courses, and you're like, wow, Dr. Freeberg, we're like, plowing through the content. Like, this is amazing. But there may be other times where we need extra time to make sure that we are taking things into consideration. So there may be some times where a chapter may go over. But every time, as I mentioned before, I will make sure to let you guys know when those changes are going to happen and what you need to know for. So the first couple of classes, again, is kind of introduction into the course. You'll be asked to register for critic on the first day of class, but we are going to be moving right along into chapter 1. So chapter 1 will be something that we will start off very quickly and be ready to go on. Once we do that, like the first couple of chapters are really building the foundation of strategic communication. So we're going to be talking about advertising, PR, action and interaction, or how brand communication works. And then once we go over that, we'll talk a lot about research. And so the first 5 chapters that we have is what we're going to be having, going to be tested on for the first exam. And so as you see here, we'll be meeting in September. What you'll find here is 9-3 will be when we have class conducted through Zoom. And the reason why I did that is technically the Kentucky Derby is still scheduled, and it's not going to happen. It did not happen in May. It's supposedly happening in September. So I think parking and getting to campus around that time for Derby might be a little bit, on the challenging side. So that's why I think it would be best for us to go online during this week. Plus, it'll give you some opportunities to, practice being online. And so you'll find here too, like we'll again have our first assignment, due, and then as you see that, the following class time is when the feedback is due. So this is the feedback that you provide, and each student is going to have 3 paper or 3 answers that they need to grade and provide feedback on. So you'll find on the 22nd of September is when we will do our review for exam 1. So this basically is going to be periods time where I will be here to answer any questions about the exam, and then the exam, it will be on 9/24. So we get back into the swing of things the following week, and then on the 1st of October, that will be when I assign you guys groups, because we'll be talking about the strategic planning process. So that'll be kind of the framework that you'll be using for the strategic campaign proposal. And that'll be when you would ideally want to start thinking about like possible clients, whether it's a local business, local nonprofit, or a brand that you would want to focus on. That is your decision. And then we'll, again, move along the sides for more of the specialty areas. The 22nd of October is when the certification is due, along with the different feedbacks. But I'm going to be checking in with you guys on October 15th, just to make sure that everyone's, feeling comfortable and on board with their groups. And if there's anything that needs to be addressed, we can do that. Now, during the first, full week of November, we'll have our review for the second exam, and then the second exam is going to be on the 5th. And so this, again, will be done all online. So then we basically have, again, just a few more class meetings before Thanksgiving. So the strategic communication interview assignment is due on the 19th. And right before Thanksgiving, we will do our class via Zoom. And then as you'll see here, right after Thanksgiving, we will not be meeting in person in class. So we'll be doing some course evaluations, final recaps, and then our final presentations will be done on December 7th. And I apologize for this. It's going to be from 8 to 10:30 in the morning. I did not choose this time. The University of Louisville is convinced that I love early morning finals. And so as I've been at the University of Louisville now for 9 years, I've always had an early morning final. So load up on coffee and we'll get through this. So that is the syllabus. So this will be also posted for you guys on Blackboard, but at any point in time, if you have any questions or anything that I could do to answer any, thing that comes to mind, if you want to talk about what you would like to do for your project or your interview assignment now, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have. I'm looking forward to this semester. It's going to be a great class, and I look forward to meeting each and every one of you as we begin this journey into strategic communications. As always, go Cards.